Hi there and welcome. Today I'm pleased to welcome author Von Galt to my channel and podcast. Von has been a Buddhist for 40 plus years and has a great wealth of metaphysical and spiritual knowledge. I'm fascinated to learn more about Buddhism today and bring you several spiritual topics as perceived from the perspective of Buddhism. Von has authored a number of books, including her most recent Buddhist Mandalas explore parallel realities with sacred geometry. And she has a fantastic YouTube channel and podcast called Merkabah Chakras. All the links are in the description. And so welcome, Von. And I believe you've got another book coming out soon as well. Can you tell us about that?
Oh, yes. It is the follow-up to the first Buddhist Mandalas book, which is Explore Parallel Realities with Sacred Geometry. And we go a little bit further down the rabbit hole into book 2 with Buddhist Mandalas, Christ's Consciousness of a Multidimensional Merkabah. So very advanced topics. If you want, you can read them separately, or you can, read them in order. But and then I'm going to take a break, and then I'll close up the Trinity series of Buddhist Mandalas with the third one, which pretty much just tells you the whole game and the game rule and all that. So this whole journey that we're going through.
Well, I hope we can get into some of that today. It sounds like a lot of really interesting information that you're putting out there for people. So I hope I can get a taste of that with the questions I put together. So moving on to the first one then, how would a Buddhist describe Earth's or humanity's ascension to 5D? Because I know you specialize a lot in ascension and moving to 5D. So what would you think about that then?
Right. So, I want to really clarify the concept of awakening and ascension, because these are buzzwords right now, and you have different fringe groups like Qanon and this and that and whatever using the same buzzwords and then confusing people. So in Buddhism, and I really want to make this clear because we don't mix into any of these low vibe kind of associations. In Buddhism is almost 2,600 years old. It's an offshoot of Hinduism from the Vedas, which is, they've said maybe almost 7,000 or longer, which goes into old folklores of Lemuria and other ancient civilizations, which is in another book project that I have tabled for a while. But it's a very, very old ancient topic, and awakening is very foundational. Awakening, like the word Bud, is a Sanskrit word that means Bud, B-U-D-H. And what that basically means is to awake within the journey, awake within samsara. So somebody who's awake sees the greater nature of reality. That's basically an awakening. Very, very simple. And there's processes to that, because you don't go from 0 to 1,000. Some people might, but they might blow their fuse, but most people do it on a gradual basis. But anyways, that's awakening. It's just to be is somebody who realizes that they exist in a holographic reality that's responding to the commands of the user, which results in consciously creating their reality both individually and also collectively. Okay. And then ascension is, again, a very ancient term that we don't want to get misused inappropriately with these different, I call them 3D campaigns and PRs, but we don't want them to get mixed up with that, because ascension is basically raising your energetic frequency by living the best version of you. And as a result, you positively affect not only yourself, but also those around you. And when you level up your Merkabah or your mandala to Christ consciousness and above, which resides at a fifth dimensional awareness, you create your reality much more fluidly. So there's a lot of metaphysics in those statements. That's why a lot of quantum physicists love Buddhism, because it really kind of taps into that area of exploration of consciousness and reality. But that's basically what Ascension is. It's just kind of leveling up your energy field towards Buddhahood. And then if you want to, you can go right into Nirvana, which I'll explain a little bit later, or you can continue the game of samsara and do another go around in a different experience. But that's what that is. And the other things I really, really want people to understand at this time too, because a lot of people don't necessarily understand where some of these terminology and words come from in indigenous cultures. And it's not fair to the indigenous cultures and indigenous traditions like Buddhism, like Jainism, like Hinduism, like Native American and others who have these sacred concepts that are being misused by fringe groups. So like the swastika, for instance, and it's in my book, book 1 of Buddhist Mandalas. It is an ancient symbol for your Merkabah and how it moves. It's a symbol of abundance. It's not to be used for hatred or division. And unfortunately, the Nazi organization at the time used that because they were almost sure that most people in that continent were not going to ever meet somebody in Asia that knew what it meant. But if you go to Asia, it's all over our temples and it's a positive thing. So, you know, we're taking that back and we're clarifying that to everybody. And the thing that's it's happening again with like the OK symbol. Okay, that in the cover of Buddhist Mandalas, Kuan Yin, the famous female Buddha and teacher Kuan Yin, she does, this is a meditation pose amongst many. Doesn't matter what way you put it. It's a meditation pose to help you get into that frequency to connect with consciousness. It is not ever to be misused or represented for a simple division or hate. So if people understand and they come across Buddhism and all these ancient forms and techniques and modalities, they will find it is about consciousness and unity and love. And it should never be misused for division. And if it is being misused for division, then you know those people are very young souls who have a long way to go.
I understand.
Okay, I want to clarify that because right now it's a very, very heated topic, especially in the United States, because they don't know.
What do you think it does to the person when they use those symbols incorrectly? Do you think it does anything, or does anything to
It doesn't have any power for them because they don't know how to use it.
Okay, I see.
Okay, but it doesn't have any power because they don't know how to use it. And then when they all of a sudden come across, like, it would be like somebody who has for a long time recognized the swastika and Nazism to mean a negative thing because that's how they used it and projected it, never thinking that anybody's ever going to go to Asia and find out the original source and what it really means. And then they go to Asia and they see all the temples and people are going, what is the, why so angry? You know, it's like misusing the image of Mother Mary to be something demonic. Like, why? That's the misuse. That's the misuse. You lose the power and it makes you look stupid.
Yeah, it's not good. Okay, so what do you think are the best ways to navigate the ascension process then from a Buddhist perspective?
Okay. So basically this whole reality, and I go over this in the Buddhist Mandalas series, book 1. I also touch on it on my book, Buddhist Guide to Manifest Parallel Realities. But basically this whole reality, it is Maya, it is the illusion. Okay. And you know it's an illusion when you change your consciousness and you level up to higher awareness, like 5th dimensional awareness and beyond, the illusion starts to move. It starts to vibrate. Things that are solid start to kind of vibrate. You see the energy. That tells you it is a lucid dream that is so real that you have been living in this dream long enough that it is real to you now. But when you start seeing the dream farther away, you see the foundation is malleable. So this is the Maya, this is the illusion, okay? It is, and lifetime after lifetime, your avatar, I explain the science behind this because a lot of people need the science. So in Buddhist Mandalas, but your avatar changes. That's why if you ever do any kind of hypnosis, you're going to get past lives, various lives, future lives, lives between lives, all these different experiences that your soul has experienced all right now, but all these different experiences. So if you're spending all your time reflecting on this avatar that is not the real you, it's just the equipment that you came into the experience for your own soul's purpose and journey. So it's kind of like if you're going scuba diving, you need the proper equipment to get that experience. That's the same thing. You're not going to bring a roll uh, to go scuba diving. You're going to need the proper equipment. So everybody has their avatar. Everybody has their storyline. Everybody has their life lessons, etc., for their own experience that they have created. And if you don't believe this information, I challenge everyone to go and find any kind of hypnotherapist, any kind, doesn't really matter. It's all the same, follows the same outlines, or meditation instructor, which meditation is hypnosis. They've already proved that in science. And go and look and see and experience your various parallel lives, your past lives, and the different soul groups that you come into this experience for. The same people in your life has been in your life in other lifetimes. And then look in the mirror and see how much of the Maya have I believed into, and why am I still doing this? And so when you see that everything is a projection of your own consciousness, then you will learn to create reality much more responsibly, with more love and compassion, and with more kindness. You're not going to spend your time wasting your life on these really stupid divisions, these stupid boxes that we put ourselves and other people in, these limitations that we put ourselves and other people on. I mean, the list goes on. These are basic lessons, people. Move on. Okay, because the earth has moved to the fifth dimension. If you want to navigate the process so that you can thrive in these higher energies easier, let go of the old dense 3D issues, because that is what's holding you into those lower frequencies and in the reality that is much slower and not as enjoyable. Unless you like pain and suffering, then some people like that. So
I guess it's like seeing the bigger picture, isn't it? Outside of just this lifetime, and seeing yourself as a being, an overarching being that experiences many lifetimes. And as a past life therapist myself,
you've seen it.
I've, clients have been in all sorts of past lives and future lives, or ones we might consider futuristic, and stepping back and seeing that overall bigger picture, it's a greater part of you. And I think that's part of my work, is to help people realize they are, it's special to be a human being. It's a great experience, but they're more than that. Step back and see you're so much more. Absolutely.
You are so much more. And you're existing in so many different ways. This lifetime, this version of you is not the only version that you are experiencing the Dharma. So it's time to cut the BS. It really is. I mean, honestly, all the stuff that we see and all the different ways that we're holding each other down, all, I mean, if you that's what you want and you need to learn those hard lessons, you're going to learn it, because what's happened is, see, the Buddhist and indigenous cultures, they have the belief that 2012 was not a doomsday. It was a year of changeover from one energy, one cycle of polarity to another cycle of unity consciousness. It took a little over 25,000 years for every single cycle to run its turn with the earth. So we enter a new cycle. And to explain what that means in our lives is, when we went from the cycle of polarity, where you see separatism, etc., to a unity, we went to a higher dimension. We went to a higher energy. It's fifth dimensional. So it runs much like this. If you have to take the analogy, and they've already shown this in the Schumann resonance with measuring the Earth's heartbeat and her ionosphere and all these different factors that go into kind of measuring the energy on Earth whenever she has these different spikes, is that since 2012, she was slowly having small spikes in her energy. And these spikes have been measured with predicting 9/11, all these natural disasters, etc. Um, as we got further into 2020 and now 2021, those spikes, those small mini spikes, have been happening in leaps, leaps and leaps and leaps, not small baby steps anymore. She started small, and people who were aware of this, like Buddhists and many indigenous cultures, have been waiting around for the switch over to a new cycle to welcome it in. We didn't do anything. Earth was already doing it. She's moving on without you. You can go with her or you cannot. It doesn't matter. It's all life lessons. You're infinite anyways. So if you pass on and perish, you'll come back into another experience anyways, and you do it again. Do past life regression, you'll find out. So there's no argument there. It's done. It's done. So people who are over that and they want to get on to the good stuff, that's what happened. And so now what's happening is, if what's changed over is the energy of Earth has changed. And so many people are tuning in. They're like, the energy has changed, the air has changed, reality's changed. I don't get it. I don't know, but they know something's different. But what's happening, at first, I didn't notice it. But now more and more huge energy has come in over the last decade. And it's like this analogy when you're sailing, okay? If you're third dimensional sailing, you're trying to do it all yourself. There's a lot of push pull. You're spinning around in the harbor, not getting anywhere, not getting out of the harbor. Wind comes through, a new energy comes through, it pushes you over. You don't notice anything. The energy gets a little bit more. It pushes you a little bit more. You're still doing the same thing, not thinking and recognizing that the energy has changed. The wind has picked up speed. Okay. Maybe you're being fourth dimensional. You're going, okay, well, I need to work this way and then go from A to B to C or whatever. And that's fine too. You're going to work a little bit harder, but you're going to eventually get out of the harbor. And then big whooshes of wind comes through, like whoosh after whoosh after whoosh. And that's what's happening with the energy of Earth, is she's bringing in these huge energies, and she's changing her frequency up to the higher dimensions. And the way that you thrive in these higher dimensions is to, one, recognize that the energy has changed, and two, that you don't have to try so hard to get from point A to wherever your destination is going to be. However, the tools to take advantage of these big wishes have changed. The tools now is you be working with other people. You can be working smarter, not harder. You know, there's so many different ways in which we can do that. And when you bring your sales up and you work with other people and you're working in unison, you're going to get out of the harbor to the tropical destination that you want in so much faster, because a couple of knots will take you across the world so much faster than kind of rowing and meandering like you used to. That's what's different. That's what's changed.
So you're saying that the energies are conducive for our own ascension if we go with the flow with it and do our inner work and all of that, but not be paddling against the current. It's easier than we think, right?
It's much easier than we think. And the people who are paddling against the current and trying to force something and this and that, whatever, it's like, if you're being third dimensional and all this wind is coming through and you're still traveling and just trying to sail in the old way that you have sailed, not recognizing the change and that you have to use different sets of tools, you're going to be fearful. You're going to be doomsday. There might be a conspiracy against you or something. You know, all these different things. You're going to blame, oh, this person didn't do this or this person did that. That's why I'm not going anywhere with my trip. All of that stuff. So however long you need to pedal in the water in circles, you can do it however long you want. That's your journey. That's how you're going to learn. If you want to learn and get beyond the harbor, step aside and actually start paying attention to what other people who have gone beyond where you are at, because they figured it out and you could do it too.
Well, something I want to pay attention to is this concept of the Merkaba, and I'm really interested in this. So, in the description of your book, Buddhist Mandalas, it says that everyone is traveling between parallel realities in their Merkaba, right? So, please, can you explain the concept of the Merkaba and us traveling between parallel realities within it? I find that fascinating.
Yeah, so everybody's already doing this. Now, in reality, there has to be a contrast in order for reality to exist. Okay, there has to be an up and a down, a right and a left. You get it, the basics. That's just the way samsara. Samsara is a Buddhist word for creation. That's the way creation exists. Everything in creation has to have something to reflect back to it. Otherwise, if there's nothing to reflect back to it, how would it know? Okay, so that's a basic concept of duality, not to be confused with the third dimensional cycle of polarity, of the duality of that. Okay, it's a totally different concept. But basically, the concept of creation is that there had to be a contrast. So there's that contrast. Now, the thing is that in Buddhist Mandalas Book 1, I go over the basics of sacred geometry. And I explain through many, many religions in world history, now and in the past, and the scientific understanding, if you need the science to understand it as well, that every single person, everything in creation is made of two halos. There's one big one, that is your human energy field. It's a sphere, people. It's not flat. It's a sphere. The science behind it's a sphere. And then you also have a smaller halo or a sphere around your head, because your head also creates energy. So everybody had, and it's in the covers of the Buddhist Mandalas book, everybody has a halo around the head and a big human energy field. That is your mandala. In Judaism, they would call it your Merkaba. In Hinduism, they would call it your Sri Yantra. In Zen, they would call it your Yin Yang. So there are a lot of different names. In Native American, they would call it your whirling log. The swastika for the way energy moves. That's another way of seeing it. These are different ways of saying the same exact thing. So the point is that you are energy. That's what it says. You are energy. And that energy field, you can actually see if you go to a website called Sound Made Visible, soundmadevisible.com. They have a service. They do research for medical and science, but they have a service to the public where you can say your voice, and then they will imprint and show you what your voice looks like. Okay, that is your mandala. In ancient times, monks and nuns would use singing bowls and sound and frequencies to see what your mandala will look like. This is how they can recognize, okay, the mandala of a teacher is coming. It looks like this. Or they would go through meditation and kind of tune into the frequency of that person to locate where they are in the world, because everybody has a unique energy signature, and they've already proven this in science. So that is your Merkaba, and Earth has one herself because she's conscious, and you are an aspect living on her. You are like the cells in her body.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it. So the Merkaba is like an energy field all around you, and each person has their own energetic signature.
Yeah, you're born with it. You can call it your soul if you want to. You are born with it. Or you're like without a body, you're an orb. Okay, it's your energy. It's your unique signature. Lifetime after lifetime, you're going to change your avatar. You're going to change your storyline. You're going to change, the different things. And like I said earlier, do past life regression. You'll find that out. There's no argument at that point. But anyways, all that's going to change for all intent, for different purposes that you came into that experience for. But what's not going to change is your energy field is the same.
But the Merkaba is often represented as that Merkaba shape, with the lines. What does that represent?
It's the same thing. It's just a different way of seeing it.
Okay.
Okay, it's a different way of seeing it. So I explained the science behind it and how you can how does a Sri Yantra equate to 432 hertz, which is the sound frequency of a human being. You play 432 hertz into a sand plate, you're going to get the Sri Yantra symbol. Boom, it's just going to show up. How is that? You know, if you look at the energy field in the human aura, human energy field, and you look at it from the top view, the way the energy moves, it moves kind of like an S. I don't know, kind of like an S. It looks like the yin yang symbol. That's just it's the same thing. You're just looking at a different perspective. Okay. Okay. So if you're looking from this version and you're looking at the way the energy field inside your mandala, your Merkaba is moving, it's going to look like a swastika because it's the movement of your energy. So many different ways. Everybody's been meditating and finding it out and testing it out, and they've seen the same thing over and over and over again. It's not a cult. Your Merkaba, your mandala, there's nothing occult, there's nothing satanic, there's nothing negative about it. Any of those people who quote unquote teach a negative perspective about these symbols, these sacred symbols, which are different ways to see your energy field, don't know what they're talking about. Okay, because I've already proven it in science, I've already proven it in ancient murals and images in Buddhism. The argument is over. You're a Merkaba, your energy. Get over it. Now, how do you want to live this incarnation in this avatar and the storyline that you have come into? That is what you're here for. Don't waste your time arguing and fighting with other people about how they create their life and their experiences. Absolutely. That's their journey.
Okay, yeah. So taking energies then and looking at the healing approach, how would a Buddhist approach healing of the body? Would there be an energetic approach in Buddhism?
Yes. And just really quick with to close up the last question about your Merkaba. As you work on your awakening process, your ascension process, which is leveling up the energy field of your mandala, of your energy field, your Merkaba, as you do that, and as you work on releasing and letting go of dense issues in your life, then you will raise your energy field. You will raise this frequency of your Merkaba. And as you raise, you will no longer be a fit to a reality that might be a lower dimension. You will have to shift. It will happen automatically. Reality will shift your consciousness into another version of you, in another reality that matches your frequency. And that it happens so quickly that you don't know you did it until all of a sudden you see something in your reality that is different than what you first experienced it. Okay. So everybody's familiar with Mandela effects. There are people who will vow that they saw Nelson Mandela die in prison. They watched it. They saw it was an event in their house, and the fact that he didn't die in prison and became a president of South Africa still blows their mind today. They don't know how they did it. It is done in the level of consciousness, and the human brain is one thing that we know how to measure. Consciousness, we're still learning how to measure the field of the heart, but the human brain has already scientifically proven that we can perceive up to 11 dimensions of reality. That means we can perceive up to 11 levels of physical reality. I'm just talking about the fifth, people, because trying to get you to the 5, which is an entry point. It's a basic entry point for all the other ones, where all these ancient civilizations, what you call aliens or whatever, reside at these higher levels. They've gone through all this stuff.
This is where the polarity splits off. In this reality, it goes either positive or negative in terms of love, unity, and understanding, isn't it? So where it's been very much a mix, in this reality, 5D, it will be more along the lines of much higher vibrations, love, compassion, oneness. It splits here, doesn't it?
Well, the thing is that Earth brought everybody. Earth brought everybody because everybody's a cell in her body. You can't leave without the left arm. So, she brought everybody. She brought everybody living on her body with her to higher levels. But she's so loving, she's going to let you be 3D if you want to, and bring up more of the 3D so that you learn how to overcome your 3D issues, so that you know how not to repeat those issues, and so that you learn to be fifth dimensional and create in the higher energies. If you want to be 4D and see everything, do everything in a linear pattern, that's fine. She'll let you do that. You could do that. She'll bring you more of what you are manifesting and wanting, and you can, in that linear fashion, that you know how to create reality from, and that's fine. And then you're going to get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm tired of doing the steps. I'm ready to zigzag to the better experience faster, and then learn to be fifth dimensional awareness. And so everybody's getting the lessons that they are going to get so that they can learn to create and experience this higher dimension much better. So have compassion for the people who are 3D in your life, because every single person has somebody who's 5D in their circle. All right. And have a passion for yourself if you're 5D in that circle of a bunch of 3 or 40 people, because you're holding a lot of weight.
Yeah, I can understand
for them to figure it out. and try not to like get sucked into their melodrama, because they're still trying to figure out the same lessons they've done how many lifetimes over again. But that's okay. You're infinite. So
that's it. It's a lot about
compassion for all levels.
Yeah, it's a lot about rising above the everyday 3D things, and I feel very much like that. And even everything you see in the news or what have you, I have an aversion to drama. I can't.
I know. Just not to just to quickly answer your question about the healing of the body. I actually did a podcast interview with about 5D frequencies and energy healing with Gerard. I can't remember his last name, but he's on my podcast on my YouTube channel. And we actually do an extensive hour and a half interview on your chakras. And how scientifically they've proven that different areas in your chakras hold dense issues that relate to certain life traumas or issues that you are dealing with in your life. And so when you address the issue that may be stuck in this specific chakra point or this area of your energy field, which relates to a certain chakra. But when you deal with the trauma that relates to that specific area and you address it and you forgive it and you resolve it and you learn from it, they have found in science that one, your energy field is healthier and is higher, and that specific area in your meridian is no longer stuck, is no longer affected. Okay. So when you see yourself as energy, okay, if nothing here is really, really real, and it's all just energy work, what do you do to address the stuck issues? How do you create issues to lower your frequency? They're called these human melodramas. These are the things that create stuckness in your energy field that keep your frequency down. And so if you want to raise your frequency, if you're an energy, how do you address that? Well, you can put a band-aid on it. It's still going to be there and it's still held in your chakras. And they've done this in hypnosis research, where when you look at the specific issue, whether it's in this lifetime or in a previous lifetime that you're carrying on, because it carries on in your chakras, it is removed. Okay.
And I think emotional
That's what healing is.
Yeah, inner work and emotional healing has a lot to do with cleansing our chakras, and we can do energy work, like literal visiting a healer, of course, and that's helpful. But I've always been in favor of digging deep within the subconscious mind and finding that repression and shining new light on it, performing healing techniques, and then your chakra, it winds up shining much more brightly and you feel better day to day.
Exactly. And you learn not to repeat the same decision that had created in the first place. Okay. So this whole life experience, coming into samsara, the creation, to experience another go around for whatever reason. Okay. Not everybody comes in with issues. So if you don't come in with issues to deal with and you already come in healthy and balanced, you don't have to start new issues. in your energy field. Okay, so if you learn the lesson, don't repeat the bad habits that caused it. Okay, that how many people have had that girlfriend that keeps on attracting that horrible husband, and they divorce one and they find another one, and it's the same domestic abuse. It's just the same husband. They never learned. They haven't learned. So
often there's repressed trauma that causes them to sort of subconsciously, inadvertently seek the same again. It is about becoming aware and breaking the cycle. And you know, a lot of kids grow up and they break the cycle from what they've experienced with their own parents. It is that awareness and breaking the cycle, isn't it?
Yes. And a lot of times, especially if you do if you do hypnosis or you do meditation, and I mean I do hypnosis in person. I do hypnosis remote. It works exactly the same way. You're still going to talk to your the oversoul that is in everybody. You're still going to talk to your ego, your immature ego that has no clue about things. You can still train your ego that way. If you have deceased loved ones in the past that you want to talk to, you can still bring forward your deceased loved one and talk to your deceased loved one from the other side. If you're working on something or you don't have a deceased loved one, but you're working on something or you want to talk to Sir Isaac Newton about something, if you're a physicist, you could talk to him, bring him forward. He'll tell you the answer. You could bring forward anybody in hypnosis. And then if you have, dense issues on your bodies, you can also bring forward that issue to ask, where did it come from, when did it come from, and deal with it and address it and heal it, and heal all of your energy field so that you kind of go out good. And like Yesha used to say after he would do a session with a person is, now don't go and repeat the same habits. Don't go do it again. So you got to learn. So you could do the healing. And this is what a lot of people, because I think I've done like 24 interviews on my podcast with a lot of different types of healers. They're all the same. They all reach that delta or that theta gamma brainwave, that high meditative frequency, just using different methods. Is that when you get into that state, that's when you connect with consciousness.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. And this whole experience is about coming in and living the best experience that you can. So if you came in with some dense issues from previous lifetimes, get to the bottom of it as quickly as possible, address it, learn from it, don't repeat it, and then start creating reality and your life much more responsibly without repeating the same bad habits. How many times, how many lifetimes, and how many times in this life do you have to keep going through that bad relationship to learn? I probably shouldn't keep attracting the same guy.
And that's part of Ascension, isn't it? Learning the lessons that life brings, and then you get given different lessons to get through.
Well, you get given different lessons, but what do you think Ascension is? Ascending your energy field up.
Learning
and how
experience.
and how do you ascend the energy, raise your energy field up? If you don't have a physical body and it's all a Maya, you work on the dense issues that are lowering it down, clean out your aura field, raise it up. You see, that's basically what it is. It's so simple. It's so simple. People think there's a lot of things to do, but no, it's all about you, baby. Just clean up your issues. You got issues of life. You got issues with people. Look in the mirror and be like, why do like in the United States, we have a racism problem. Okay. Let's be honest. Okay. But we also one of the most diverse melting pots of a country in the whole world. I'm going to be honest, in terms of like amount of people from a lot of different backgrounds, the United States is a multicultural, multiracial, multinational experience. It's an experiment in consciousness. Okay. Throw it out in there, see what happens. So we're learning and we're growing, and like a butterfly, it's always scary. There's a lot of turmoil, all that kind of stuff. So some people are drawn to certain things, some people are not drawn to certain things. But I do know that I have a lot of hope for humanity, and especially for my country, the United States, in what it's going through, because through the messiness and the chaos, we always emerge stronger and cleaner and better, and we learn from it, hopefully sooner than later. But it's all an experience anyways. And the thing is that when I do hypnosis, and even when I do meditation myself, and in meditation I get into those high theta gamma brain waves,
Mhm.
and I see my parallel lives and my different lives anyway. So sometimes I escape into those ones. I'm not sure if you do it, Nikki. Do you ever escape into different lives sometimes?
Oh yeah, similar to that. Yeah, so I meditate every night before I go to sleep. Doing a lot of that at the moment, and my inner vision kicks in because I make sure I get right to the verge of sleep there. So I'm literally in the delta brainwave state and just
Uh-huh.
struggling not to fall asleep. And then my inner vision opens up, and I find myself all kinds of places, past lives, lives between lives, other realities, places I don't even know where. So
Yeah, and then do you ever get like I do? Like I get another version of myself in different life talking to me going, "Hey Vaughn." Blah
yeah.
blah 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 blah, and you're like, "Okay."
Yeah. I did a video about that not long ago about actually being able to meet a past life version of yourself. So instead of experiencing it yourself, you can meet them because they exist too. They're part of your higher self. They're
Mhm.
infinite too. So it's a multi-dimensional kind of reality where you can experience being that person as a memory, but you can also meet them too. It's a multi-dimensional nature of your
Yeah.
higher self.
Yeah, you can help yourself. And I want and so, when it comes to healing, so let's get into the advanced stuff for people who are already there at fifth dimensional. Okay. So, and just really quick. So fifth dimensional, like third dimensional awareness is, like I said earlier, it's just construction of forms. Um, fourth dimensional is linear, going through in progression. And humans, we're still going to be fourth dimensional in a certain way because we have the concept of time so that we can see growth and see things move in a certain fashion. So but fifth dimensional awareness is like the power of now, being in the present. Everything exists right now. And when you do like past life regression or any kind of hypnosis or any kind of meditation, and you get into those theta gamma brainwave frequencies that they've proven in meditation, um, you connect to source itself. You
Mhm.
connect to source
Yeah,
itself.
that's it.
And source itself, God, Allah, I am, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to argue over the logistics, but you connect to source itself, and when you get to source itself, that is the level where you pretty much can change your DNA if you want to. You can heal anything. You can connect to anybody. I mean, it's basically just like source code. Like you go into the source code, and that's what it is. So all time exists simultaneously at that
Mm,
point,
mm,
and it's not going to do what your low level 3D ego wants to do. So it's not going to um, like control people or manipulate people, because that's like such basic lessons. So you do that in 5D, it'll pop right, you'll wake up. But when you get to that state, the thing is that when people are getting into their spirituality and they get into their fifth dimensional and they're learning different ways to kind of navigate reality and zigzag, like I said, zigzag, get to the experience they want to faster, they're going to come into their sixth senses. And I get a lot of people who contact me from all around the world, because everything's through internet, um, who go through consultations and they have worked on their awakening. They're working on their ascension. They need to remove some kind of issues to kind of raise their energy even further, and that's fine. And then they come into their sixth senses, and they get maybe one or two sixth senses, and they're struggling.
mm,
They're struggling to deal with it. They're struggling to adjust to what I call spiritual sixth sense etiquette.
mhm,
Okay. And this is the leading edge experience. Okay. So, like manifesting parallel realities and shifting between different parallel realities by making the decision in each junction to choose love over fear. Okay. That's, choose the most loving option. The most loving option will always get you to the higher reality. You'll eventually get there. There's multiple ways to get there. That's a sixth sense. Okay.
mhm,
Shifting parallel realities and being aware about the multiverse and shifting, that's a sixth sense. But there's other sixth senses that many of my clients around the world come to me for. And that's like being telekinesis, for instance, moving things. Well, not everybody is comfortable with that. And so you might not want to move that pen in that board meeting. Okay. Because you do that, somebody in that room may not be ready for that, and they may still believe in hell and demons, and they may think negatively of you. And so that could hurt your opportunities in that company. So that's what I call spiritual etiquette, like kind of gauge. Same thing, a lot of people who are empathic in this space and they're getting further into it, they will automatically read and sense everybody's issues. It's overwhelming. And they won't be able to function in society because they could feel everybody's problems, since everybody's just projecting their problems because they don't know how to deal with it. They're feeling it all. And so how do you, as you're working on your spiritual awakening and you're raising your energy and you're getting more of these six senses and they're amplifying, turn it up. How do you exist in society? You have to learn boundaries. You have to learn to shut it off. And you also have to learn spiritual etiquette. Like, it's not for you to tell somebody else that their spouse is cheating on them. If it's not meant for you, it's not your journey. Okay. It's not for you to just tell all the news just because you can hear it. So
I think it's quite an important topic, because I think where we're going, there will be no more secrets. Everything will be known and it will be shared. And I know that sounds difficult and scary for many.
For some people, yeah.
I mean, I'm not talking about some kind of intervention from the elite or whatever, where we're all hooked up together with electronics, mind to mind. I'm talking psychically here, where we do, where things are known and shared. But it's so very possible to close off your own mind. So if there's something that perhaps you don't want to share with others, as I always say, it's closing the doors in your mind and visualizing that happening. And just in the same way, it's not the best thing to read others without their
yeah. It's true. And so, like, I have clients who watch my book interviews, they read my book, they think this is all fun and dandy and stuff, and then they're like, I read Buddhist Mandalas book 1, and you said you're going to rewire my consciousness, but I had all these epiphanies, and all of a sudden I just feel like I had this like download, and all of a sudden this I'm able to do. I don't know if there's any correlation. I'm like, okay, are you fine? Are you okay? And they're like, yeah, but then this weird thing happened and I need to understand it so I can be at peace with my reality. So then we will what typically we'll do is I will do like online hypnosis sessions with them to, first of all, kind of clean out the gunk, clean out their incarnation and the dense issues in their life, the things that are coming up in their life lessons, so that they learn that, clear it up, and that will raise their energy. And then typically what my clients would do is, as they start coming into their spiritual sixth senses and they amplify, we will just have monthly or quarterly check-ins. And so if they like I had a client who was like, I gotta talk to you, Vaughn. I'm like, what's happening? And she's like, I am channeling, and I'm channeling in the middle of board meetings, and it's embarrassing. And I'm like, okay, all right. Well, how do you feel when it happens? Okay, when you have that feeling, that's when you know you're all of a sudden kind of like checking into that state. So let's practice a couple of basics so that you can have it in control, because there's a time and a place for everything. Okay. And so you still have to function in this reality. You don't live in the spirit world. You can just kind of go, woo, there's a balance. There's a, physicality, spiritual balance that you have to do. And this is the reality that we're getting further into. And so we need to, like in old days, when people had children or they had themselves had these issues, I wouldn't call them issues, but they had these new skills that came online. What they would typically do is put their kid into a monastery and say, my children or my child has this specific gift. I don't know how to help them. Can you help them? And the monastery would help them and explain to them what's happening with consciousness, what's happening with their reality, and how they can learn to live peacefully and socially etiquette with their new sixth sense, and that it's not a scary thing, but it's a new sixth sense, and you just got a spiritual growth spurt.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have to learn to exist with it. So I'll give you an example too, because a lot of these clients, if they're adult, they're going to have kids, and their kids are going to likely have some spiritual sixth senses. So since they're not going to be conditioning their kids with low frequency belief systems, and they learn, they are typically going to attract to themselves higher frequency kids. And I usually don't like to talk about my children in my interviews, but I'll give you an example. So my daughter loves to color. Okay. So before a hypnosis session, sometimes before before I do a client hypnosis session, she'll just color me something and she'll give it to me. I'm like, oh, this is cute. So she gave me this one. Okay. If you see this picture,
Oh, that's really cute.
isn't it cute?
Yeah.
So she has this coloring book with, of all the pictures, she picked the one with a Victorian house, a red roof, 2 unicorns. She put one as a rainbow unicorn and one in this black cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then there's like this half crescent moon. So I was like, oh, that's cute. Thanks, honey. So cute. I had a client that day come in, and it's actually put on my YouTube channel under the hypnosis reincarnation playlist. But what happened? The client had a past life where she was a Victorian housewife, her husband lived in a castle with a red roof. In the current life, she is with her boyfriend, who is a twin.
Mm-hmm.
One is light, and her other one, everybody always said he lives in the dark. He's depressed. But he took his own life.
Mm.
He was in the dark.
Right.
He took his own life. So the light and the dark of the two twins. And then in another lifetime, here's the crescent moon. In another lifetime, she was a Muslim.
Right. Oh, I see.
In the Middle East.
So
isn't that funny?
So she was quite drawn to that picture with her intuitive knowing and gave it
Yeah.
to you.
And of all the colors that she picked the exact ones that my client was going to bring forward in her hypnosis session. What's the likelihood? It's happened many times. Many times. Cool. So I'm just kind of like, okay, I won't show my client till afterwards because I don't want to influence them. Yeah. But then I just go into it and what comes forward. So my daughter is intuitively knowing exactly about the tool of hypnosis or meditation, knowing exactly what the deal is. But she doesn't have the words, so she just draws it. And she says, here, mommy, give this to your friend. And I'm like, okay, here you go.
That's so lovely. That's
Isn't
so
it
lovely?
Cute?
Yeah.
But anyways, that's very, very normal. It's not always like that. Because she's still my 5-year-old, and we still argue and butt heads about brushing teeth and not eating junk food all day. So she's still a kid, and she still needs proper parenting and so forth, discipline, structure, order, all that kind of stuff. But I do kind of encourage her in things that she likes to do, like coloring and stuff. And I do keep an open mind with some boundaries. So, and I talk to a lot of parents who are coming into their awakening, they're coming into their sixth senses, and they're trying to learn how to deal with and apply spiritual sixth sense etiquette to the new growth spurt. And at the same time, they're asking me about the children who are exhibiting certain abilities as well. And they want to foster that. But sometimes it can kind of scare them, the parent as well. So their sixth sense is scaring them, and their kid's sixth sense is scaring them because they don't understand it. So don't go to someone who's going to be telling you anything negative about their experience, because they obviously don't understand.
Yeah, absolutely. My eldest daughter. Yeah, my eldest, she's very intuitive, and she often says what I'm saying, what I'm thinking before I say it. And if I've been talking with someone about something, she'll come along and bring it up, even though she hasn't heard what's been said. So she's very intuitive. But anyway, so just
they already know. They just know right into it. They just they already know.
Very awakened indeed. But just back to these chakra points. So can you tell me about the earth chakra points and the energy portals? Because I was looking on your website, and I saw that you had a lot of information about that, and I was just really curious what your take on it.
Yeah. So the earth's chakra points is built the same exact way as our human energy field.
Mhm.
So, like where all the pyramids and megaliths are, they're actually on top of the high magnetics of the earth, and they're
Mhm.
all in equal proportion to one another,
Mm.
all over the
Right.
earth. And so a lot of her chakra points have activated, and like sometimes you look at the internet and somebody will post a picture of just a random field and there's like this beam of light that goes up from the ground. They're like, what the heck is this? That's one of her chakra points just lighting up. But the ancients have figured out that, like, and you could do this with dowsing rods if you go hiking, which is a great exercise, everybody.
Mhm.
Is just, take a dowsing rod, walk around England or wherever you are, and go and find areas where the the dowsing rod would kind of spin and go out of control, and
Mhm.
that's where oh, there's high energy in this specific point. And typically what you'll find is you'll find like a fairy ring or a circle of mushrooms in a circle, or you're
Yeah,
finding like
I've seen
trees
them.
that kind of like curve in a circle,
That's
kind of
it.
like there's a portal in the woods or something. But you could do that also where there are megaliths and pyramids, and it'll point you right to the megalith or pyramid. So that's the chakra points on the earth, and they're all equal, and they're all connected, and that's basically the energy field of the earth.
Mm. It's
Hmm.
fascinating. My husband loves all that when we
Yeah,
occasionally
it's so
find
much. The
like,
kids love it too.
yeah, like a mushroom circle. Sometimes we find half circles. They haven't quite grown all the way around, and the trees that grow off to sort of one side at an angle and then up. And my husband loves to say, "Oh, look, there must be an energy vortex there." So,
There
yeah.
is an energy vortex, and I am driven to figure out how to properly activate the Merkabahs, because we have portals within our energy field. Okay, our
Mhm.
energy field, the Merkabahs, the Mandalas, we have portals inside us, because that's how we are able to go from one reality to another reality by working on our dense 3D issues and our human issues,
Mhm.
and learning how to create reality more responsibly.
Mhm.
When we do that, we are shifting the portal within us to another reality. We're shifting to just because all you do when you travel between portals, theoretically, is all you do is just change the energy around you,
Mhm.
and you just pop into a new reality, and
Yeah,
that's when
that's
like,
it.
oh, that's different. That's not what I remember last time.
Yeah, and
You know.
hypnosis is great for that. I mean, I can't wait to start doing my sessions again because I really miss all that, and helping people to, there's so many purposes for hypnosis, but one of them is helping people to sort of change frequency so they can sort of
Yep.
slip into another dimension and see what they experience.
Yeah, I just recently had a client that came in because he wanted to get some understanding of what was going on with his reality, because him and his mother had this argument, and he was telling his mother, he's like, no, you got your divorce in 1994, because I remember that year specifically. That's when I ran away. I moved in with dad, and he had all this backstory for how 1994 was the year that that his mom got married to somebody else. It was a very pivotal point, and she's the mom now is like,
Mm,
what are you talking about? I didn't marry so and so until like 5 years ago. And he's like, no, and he just it just so he
different
came in to
reality.
find out different reality. It's like, you know what? Your mom is still your mom. It's just another version of your mom, and it's a healthier version of your mom, because the version of your mom in the past that divorced and got remarried in 1994 had more problems. So you change your perspective, you
Mm,
changed and healed a lot of the things in your life, and saw things in a different way, a much more appropriate way, that you manifested a healthier version where you got a healthier mom. Isn't
yeah,
that wonderful?
yeah.
You helped your mom out by seeing that she could be better than what she was, and you're
Mhm.
experiencing it.
Mm. So
How
when it comes to self-improvement then, so perhaps practices or values and beliefs, so what like top three concepts might be central to a Buddhist way of life, in terms of practices or values?
Well, I mean, there, you know, the Four Noble Truths is basically kind of a set of tools that you can use to look at the issues or the dense issues that keep coming up in your life that you're still working on trying to transcend, or kind of like not repeat certain habits that you don't want to experience again.
Mm,
So look into the Four Noble Truths. There's nothing religious about it. It's just one, life is suffering. Two, attachment causes suffering, and people are attached to more things than physical. Sometimes they're attached to ideas and concepts that they need to let go of. So, and then three, insights remove suffering. So if you like I said, past life regression, hypnosis, meditation, to look into the causes of issues, that really provides insight. And when you see that, you're like, oh, I see. I was having a hard time letting go. Okay. So insights. And then the fourth one is living the Eightfold Path. And the Eightfold Path is very, very simple. It's just a correct thought, speech, action, livelihood, understanding, effort, concentration, and mindfulness. So in my book, Buddhist Guide to Manifest Parallel Realities, using the Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Path in the age of consciousness, because we're all getting conscious at some point. That goes over the Four Noble Truths, which the first Buddha, Siddhartha, Gautama. Anyways, the first Buddha, I always get his first and middle name mixed up. But anyways, the first Buddha, he found those through meditation, and that's just a tool that you can use to address your issues, so that you can transcend them and you can move on to the good stuff. So and stop repeating the habits that bring the old experiences up. So the Four Noble Truths is very, very good tool, and there's many other tools. Whatever works for you, use it. And then the other thing is, samsara is just another word for creation. Okay. And everything that exists is samsara. It is creation. Okay. And one of the things that I found with samsara is that a lot of people just don't want to, they want to escape their problems. They don't want to deal with their problems. They don't want to learn how to, create reality more appropriately or better. They just want to check out. They want to check out. They regret incarnating. And that's fine. After this incarnation, don't get born again. Stay in the spirit world. But you're going to get bored.
That's it. So you think you can choose, and the
you
people
can
want to come back because it's more entertaining and there's more learning experience to be had here than on the other side where it might be more harmonious.
Yeah. So, and I do hypnosis, or even if you do meditation, you'll find out that many people have had lifetimes outside of Earth. It's not just Earth lifetimes. We've had lifetimes in other planets and other universes and other dimensions. We've had lifetimes in the spirit world, and we have jobs and lives in the spirit world as well. So, when you see that samsara has so many different things to experience, and they're not all negative, you may choose to do another round, but this, and so, or if you don't want to experience anything in creation, you don't want to experience what it's like, in the spirit world, you're kind of done in the spirit world, you don't want to incarnate into any physical reality, and you don't want to know what it's like living in the Star Trek reality of Earth. If you don't want to travel and explore new worlds and meet new cultures, if you don't want to know what it feels like to be in an intergalactic Earth, if you don't want to know what it feels like to incarnate in a reality where everybody can just pop in and out from different dimensions whenever they feel like and they want to, that's fine. If you don't want to know what it feels like to, instead of sending your kids to different colleges, to different universities and different planets, there's a lot in samsara that you don't even know about, and you're already saying no to it. So, but once you go to the other side and you see that, oh my goodness, this can get really, really good. So that's why it's so addictive.
Would you say samsara is not just the earthly reality, but also other, say, extraterrestrial places as well?
It's everything in creation.
Okay.
It's everything in there. There is nothing that is not God.
Okay, so samsara is not just earthly reality, it's everything in creation.
It's everything. So actually, I write this in my book too, and I sent you the book cover as well. I'm not sure if you can share it.
Oh, no.
No, it's okay. I put it in the last email that I sent you. But anyway, samsara, just in short, okay? So this is my understanding, and there's different, like I said, there's different understandings for it. But anyways, there's a baseline, okay? That's what we call the Buddhist heaven or nirvana. And when you go in through hypnosis, some people come straight from nirvana, where they are consciousness. They don't know anybody else. They don't know anything else. It's just like a blue screen. Okay. But consciousness decided to experience itself, and so what it did was it created creation in order to incarnate into all these different versions of itself, so it can have different experiences and watch its different experiences through you, through I, through everybody else, and kind of experience it directly and learn and grow and appreciate itself. It's a gift that consciousness gave to itself. And so what it did when it decided to do, it asked this question: what would it be like to not be me? Okay,
Wants to know. It's curiosity.
yeah, your consciousness, your Lord, your everything. Everything is you. You don't know anything else. You don't know anything else. So you're just you. Everything's you. What would it be like to not be me? And so by having that initial question and being ready for expansion, what the Nirvana did was create that samsara. It created the duality, created the polarity, up, down, right, left, whatever. So it's like an S. In the middle is nirvana, and then there's the different experiences. So everything is samsara.
Okay.
Everything is samsara.
So how does what we do in this lifetime impact other lifetimes, like our next life? How will it impact our next life?
Well, I would say look at your people in your life. I mean, I think there's like 8 billion, those last count, maybe more now. 8 billion people on the planet right now. And you're probably only experiencing maybe 10 people on a regular basis out of 8 billion. Okay. And if you do hypnosis or you do meditation to take a look at your different lives, those people, majority of them are probably the same ones in all the different lifetimes. They're called your soul group. Now, you don't have to be cross with one another to incarnate. Some people incarnate because they just love each other and they want to just, experience another another positive experience with the people that they love. It's like taking a vacation with people that you love. So, but if you do have people in your soul group that you are cross with, forgive the lesson, learn the lesson, let go of the charge that triggers you about that lesson, about that person, and have compassion for yourself and for them, so that they can learn and grow from it, and then learn to create your reality much more healthy, in a healthy manner. So you'll live the rest of this life getting into the good stuff and creating the good stuff and not having to repeat the same bad cycles with the same people over again. And then in your next life, if you choose to do another go around in samsara, and you have people that choose to do it with you, like your soul group, you guys can create much more positive, happy things without having to learn the same old lessons and change roles, trying to learn the same old lessons.
Yeah. So it's quite karmic, isn't it?
It is really, yeah. I've had so many clients who are like, oh my God, how many lifetimes did I need to figure out that one lesson?
Yeah, that's it.
But the funny thing is, Earth, when you incarnate into Earth, you don't have memory of all the other lifetimes. You kind of go through amnesia. So it's what makes Earth special, because everybody comes here and they kind of level in the same playing field. Unless you do hypnosis or meditation to kind of get insight, you kind of have amnesia. And so you don't know you're doing the same old habits until you do it. You're like, why does it sound so familiar?
That's a challenge, isn't it? The forgetting. I know there's abilities that don't.
Like you're taking the same test over again, going, why?
Yeah, until you figure it out. So what are your top tips then for escaping the suffering associated with samsara? What would you recommend?
Well, I would say, learn the Four Noble Truths. And I have a great worksheet in that book, Buddhist Guide, where it's called the Matrix of Delusion worksheet, where you yourself or anybody that you want to you can all sit together and you can all look at the issue at hand that you want to address, and then everybody can can fill out the worksheet, and then just get everybody's opinion, and then you'll hear all the different ways in which you can address the issue in a much more positive way and learn and grow from it. Okay. And don't be afraid of looking at your inner demons or doing your own shadow work. Okay. So that's just clearing up the negativity in your life, the gunk. All right. So, it's spring cleaning. That's really, we're just doing spring cleaning. Once you do the spring cleaning, then you can move on without continuing to add clutter and mess to your house, your mandala. Okay. So, that's a really, really great way and a great tool that you can use to create reality much more healthy. The other thing is, right now, Earth is going through, people of Earth. Earth is doing her thing, but people of Earth, they're going through their own lessons and stories and so forth. And not everybody has the same lessons. Okay, if you're not attracted to it, then it's probably not a lesson that you need to learn. You probably don't need to learn the lesson over again. Unless you're really, really pulled in and attracted to that lesson, then you'll be part of it. But if there's any kind of movement or something going on that you do support, there's many, many different ways to support it without getting into the thick of it. Okay, you can be a bystander and support through lots of different ways. Charity work, volunteering, different things. There's a lot of different ways to do that. A lot of corporations will support a lot of different campaigns and things that they are really energized about through different ways as well. And so it's not just about giving money donations, but they will do kind of like a trade with their product. You buy this, we'll plant a tree or whatever. So anyways, but don't feel guilty if you are not going to actively be part of some kind of turbulent campaign or thing going on, because it goes both ways. If somebody's trying to give you a hard time for not being part of some kind of movement, well, why are they're not part of all the other movements going on?
Do good deeds help with your karma, do you think?
Yes, good deeds do help with your karma, because good deeds will create kind of like a positive balance, So don't create negative karma. Don't create negative karma is just basically another word for unbalanced perspectives. Okay, unbalanced perspectives create imbalance in your life. And those unbalanced perspectives that create imbalance in your life will eventually manifest into a physical experience. They always do. What you think and feel always manifests into some kind of physical experience. That's the process. So if you really, really are adamant about something and you really, really dislike it and stuff, that feeling and that dislike is going to manifest into experience where you're going to see physically what that experience is all about. And then you can still decide at that point, oh, do I really want to stay in this experience, or this is not me? I just realized this is not me.
Yeah, I always think there's quite a crossover between karma and manifesting, because if you're stuck on that wheel of karma, you're stuck in the energies, the vibration of what you're creating. Therefore, you're manifesting what you're creating. There is a big crossover there. I've found that when I've been wondering about it. Yeah.
There definitely is. So yeah, so that's what I'll say about that with a lot of the different things going on is, if you're attracted to something and it's probably for you and it's probably part of your life experience, and that's fine. But if you're not really, really compelled or attracted to it, then it's probably not for you. And there's other experiences that you can create. I have a lot of clients who don't really get involved with a lot of the current affairs, melodrama going on in my country of the United States. But they're more focused on kind of building the fifth dimensional and working with those energies. So they're working on trying to create a CBD product line to help animals feel good in their dying days or in pain. They're working on how to grow like cannabis, and working on how to get that in a way that people can digest it without and feel good about it. They're working on creating meditation retreats where people can come in and they can commune with earth, they can commune with different dimensions or whatever, and they can get healing and just kind of get kind of like peace. So they're working on all these different things, and so everybody's working on something different. So there's a lot of different ways we can experience our reality. So
I know that during these sort of tough times, what has helped me through is focusing on helping others
right.
to feel better. I know you work very hard and you're very busy and you're trying to help others too. What would the core messages be that you sort of try to get through to help people in your work? What kind of core messages do you try and get across?
Well, in my hypnosis sessions and even in my meditations that I do, I get the same message from the Oversoul for every single one of my clients. So I ended up putting in these basic sentences. And this is what the Oversoul wants every single person to know. You've always been enough. Use the gifts and the resources all around you to create a life that you want to experience. A life full of joy and love. And the spirit world will nudge you through synchronicity, and you could do it. And that's the same message to get over and over and over again. So focus on your life and focus on creating the best version of you, and enjoy each and every single moment, because that experience is unique.
That's very well said indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, awesome. It's been really wonderful having you on my podcast and my channel here, and it's been a pleasure to learn so much about Buddhism from you. Thank you so much. So, where can people find you online and purchase your new book that's coming out as well?
Yeah, so you can go to my website, which is Merkabah Chakras, Merkaba, Merkaba, chakras, like your 7 chakras.com. And there you can just click on the book. They'll take you straight to my Amazon page, or you can go to Amazon and just type in Von Galt, VON, and then Galt, GALT, like who is John Galt, and just click on the author's name and it'll pull up my author profile, and all my books are there. I do other books too. I create bridal bouquets books for weddings, and then I also do coloring books for kids, and then the Buddhism series, which I am working to complete. But Buddhist Mandalas Book 1, Explore Parallel Realities with Sacred Geometry, that is out right now, and that one will rewire your consciousness to a 5th dimensional level. The basic study of sacred geometry wasn't given to Yeshua, which is what you would call Jesus in the West. In the East is Isa or Yeshua, was his real name. But we didn't give him sacred geometry teachings, and that was like the very last lesson. So I just start you with sacred geometry. I just cut through the BS. You get sacred geometry.
Oh, that's
And
interesting.
then I go backwards. So you typically learn the wisdom teachings, and then the Christ consciousness, and then you learn about the samsara, and then you get to the how everything's created. I just go backwards. I just start with sacred geometry first. Let's rewire your consciousness, reset. And then the second book is coming out next month. So be on the lookout for that. And that's book 2 of Buddhist Mandalas, which is Christ consciousness of a multidimensional Merkabah. And I go into the Buddhist understanding of what it is to be 5th dimensional awareness, crystalline consciousness in your Merkabah. So anyways, so we'll get into that later. So be on the lookout for book interviews about book 2, because we're going to level you up into your crystalline nature. And then, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to try to get that on Audible, take a break. And then hopefully by the end of 2021, I'll get back into writing and finally finish book 3 of the Buddhist Mandala Trinity series, which will completely round off the whole experience. And you'll get to understand the whole sojourn of what we do here for.
Awesome.
So yeah. So a lot of this stuff, a lot of people are not very aware of, because they don't understand the advanced studies in Buddhism, because they're still working on the basics. So, but some people are beyond the basics. There's a lot of star seeds and ancient souls that are beyond the basics, that are ready for the higher level knowledge. And that's really where I offer that.
Awesome. Well, I'll put links in the description below this video and below the podcast listing then to your books and to your website. It's been fantastic, Von. Really informative and great fun as well. You're lovely to speak to.
Oh, thank you, Nikki. And blessings for you and your new book as well. So
thank
really
you so
great read.
much. Thank you so much. Okay then. Thanks.